In the icy grip of the Russian steppe, every decision could mean life or death. February 1943. The Russian steppe lay blanketed in a thick layer of snow, its icy surface reflecting the weak winter sun. A bitter wind howled across the barren landscape, carrying with it the distant rumble of artillery fire. In the midst of this frigid chaos, the air crackled with tension, punctuated by the sporadic crack of rifle shots. The battlefield was a stark tableau of survival, where every clump of frozen earth might conceal a soldier clinging to life. The Soviet forces, locked in a brutal struggle against a relentless enemy, were pushing to reclaim lost ground. Their objective, to sever supply lines and encircle opposing divisions. But the cost was high. The terrain, deceptive in its apparent stillness, was a treacherous mix of open fields and concealed trenches. Visibility was low, and the biting cold sapped the strength of even the hardiest men. Amidst the din of war, the human stakes were profound. Hundreds lay wounded, scattered across the snow, their survival hanging by a thread. The tactical importance of these men was clear. Every soldier saved was a potential return to the line, a chance to tip the balance. Yet, the odds were daunting. The situation demanded not only courage, but also ingenuity, qualities that would soon come to define the actions of one remarkable nurse. As the battle raged, three subtle details shifted the course of this dire scenario. The remnants of an old supply depot, barely noticed, offered unexpected shelter. A break in the weather, temporary but crucial, allowed for critical movements. And amidst the chaos, a nurse's quick thinking revealed a path to hope. These elements, woven together, set the stage for an extraordinary feat of bravery. In piecing together this harrowing tale, we will draw upon veteran accounts, unit diaries, and after-action reports. Archival footage from the period will provide a visceral backdrop to this narrative of resilience and ingenuity. If you value careful, human-centered recon, stay with us as we unravel how one woman defied the odds to save hundreds under fire. The winds receded, leaving a fragile calm over the battlefield. Visibility improved slightly, revealing the jagged outlines of trenches and the twisted remnants of war machines strewn across the landscape. It was here, amidst the shifting snowdrifts, that the Soviet forces saw an opportunity to advance. The tactical maps, as reconstructed from unit diaries, indicated a narrow corridor that could be exploited to outflank the enemy. This route, however, was perilously close to an impassable ravine, hidden beneath a deceptive layer of snow. Veteran accounts describe the terrain as both a curse and a blessing, a natural barrier that could protect the wounded if navigated correctly. Archival footage from this period captures the desperate logistics of war. Supply lines were stretched thin, with every available resource prioritized for the front. It was in this context of scarcity that Yevdokia Nikolaeva-Zavely, the nurse who would soon become legendary, began her mission. She moved with a determined grace, her figure barely discernible against the white expanse, carrying supplies and hope to those caught in the crossfire. The records suggest that her actions were not merely a product of duty, but of an unyielding resolve. As she traversed the battlefield, she leveraged the temporary lull in combat to reach the injured. Her ingenuity was tested as she transformed the remnants of the old supply depot into a makeshift triage center. Here, she coordinated with other medics, utilizing every scrap of material to stabilize the wounded. Communication lines, often unreliable in the chaos, somehow remained intact long enough to relay critical updates. This unexpected continuity allowed the Soviet command to adjust their strategy, reinforcing positions that were at risk of being overrun. Some argue that this coordination, spurred by Zavely's actions, proved pivotal in maintaining morale and momentum. Despite the relative calm, the situation remained fraught with danger. The enemy regrouped, their artillery fire resuming with renewed intensity. Amidst this renewed onslaught, the nurse's resolve was put to the ultimate test. Her choices, where to move, whom to save first, became matters of life and death. This moment, marked by personal sacrifice and tactical acumen, invites us to ponder the weight of individual decisions in the midst of collective struggle. As we continue to explore these events, consider the profound impact one person can have in the face of overwhelming odds. If this narrative resonates, subscribe to follow each unfolding chapter in this tale of courage and compassion. The snow, now settled in a dense crust over the steppe, glistened under a pale sun. It provided a deceptive peace, masking the impending fury that would soon erupt. The Soviet forces, invigorated by their brief respite, prepared for a concerted push along the narrow corridor identified the previous day. Yet, the morning revealed another challenge. The enemy had anticipated their move, repositioning artillery to cover the ravine's approach. Veteran accounts describe a tense atmosphere as the troops braced for the inevitable barrage. The soundscape was a cacophony of shouted orders, the clatter of tanks maneuvering into position, and the distant rumble of impending artillery. The terrain, though offering some protection, funneled the advancing armor into a tight formation, making them vulnerable to concentrated fire. A sudden shift in the weather added to the complexity of their task. A dense fog rolled in from the east, blanketing the battlefield in an opaque shroud. This unexpected development, recorded in unit diaries, was both a hindrance and a boon. While it concealed movements from enemy spotters, it also crippled Soviet reconnaissance efforts, forcing commanders to make decisions based on fragmented intelligence. Amidst this unfolding chaos, Yevdokia Zavely's role became even more critical. After-action reports highlight her adaptability under pressure. With supply lines faltering and reinforcements delayed by the fog, she coordinated a daring maneuver to relocate the wounded to a more secure position, closer to the temporary triage center she had established. Archival footage, grainy and silent, captures her silhouette moving swiftly through the mist, a symbol of hope amidst despair. The record suggests that Zavely's quick thinking averted a potential rout. Her decision to shift the wounded, though risky, maintained the morale of the beleaguered troops. Some argue this act of bravery was pivotal, allowing the Soviet forces to hold their position until reinforcements eventually arrived. This moment underscores the unpredictable nature of war, where terrain and weather can swiftly alter the balance of power. It also highlights the profound impact of human determination in the face of adversity. As the battle for the steppe continued, each decision carried weight, shaping the course of the conflict. The fog, which had initially veiled the steppe, began to dissipate, revealing the grim aftermath of the morning's engagement. The Soviet forces, having narrowly maintained their position, now faced the daunting task of regrouping for another push against the entrenched enemy. The terrain was unforgiving, its deceptive flatness broken by the occasional ridge and hidden trench, each a potential death trap. Unit diaries from this period reflect the mounting tension within the ranks. Soldiers huddled in the scant shelter of their makeshift fortifications, the cold seeping into their bones. The air was heavy with anticipation, punctuated by the distant thud of artillery being repositioned. Some accounts speak of a rare moment of camaraderie, as troops shared scant rations and whispered reassurances, a brief interlude of humanity amidst the chaos. The Soviet command, acutely aware of the precariousness of their situation, issued orders for a renewed offensive. However, logistical challenges loomed large. After-action reports detail the difficulties of coordinating an assault across the fragmented landscape, where communication lines were often tenuous and prone to disruption. The enemy, having anticipated their initial thrust, had fortified their positions, making any advance costly. Amidst these preparations, Yevdokia Zavely's presence continued to be a stabilizing force. Archival footage from the time shows her organizing the transport of the most critical cases to safer ground, her actions embodying a determination that inspired those around her. The record suggests that her tireless efforts not only saved lives, but also provided a morale boost to the beleaguered troops. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows over the snow, a tactical surprise emerged. A small, previously unnoticed path through the ridges offered a potential flanking route. Veteran accounts describe the moment as a revelation, a fleeting opportunity to gain the upper hand. Yet, the decision to exploit this route was fraught with risk. It required precise coordination and the courage to move under the cover of darkness. This inflection point underscored the delicate balance between opportunity and peril in wartime decision-making. It was a reminder of the human element that permeates every aspect of conflict. The choices made in these moments could alter the course of the battle, for better or worse. The battlefield, now cloaked in darkness and an eerie silence, was punctuated only by the distant echoes of artillery fire. The cold intensified, turning the air crisp and brittle. Veteran accounts from this period describe a palpable tension as soldiers prepared for the renewed assault in the early hours. The tactical maps, informed by after-action reports and unit diaries, revealed a significant development. The previously unnoticed path through the ridges, identified just before nightfall, offered a strategic advantage. This narrow, winding route, obscured from enemy observation, promised a chance to outflank the fortified positions that had stymied their earlier efforts. However, the terrain posed significant challenges. The path was treacherous, flanked by steep embankments and prone to sudden snow drifts. Archival footage from the period shows the troops moving cautiously, their movements slow and deliberate. The fog, now a mere memory, had lifted, leaving the night sky clear but unforgivingly cold. Communication remained a persistent issue. The makeshift lines, prone to disruption, required constant maintenance. Some suggest that this vulnerability was mitigated through the ingenuity of field engineers, who used salvage materials to reinforce connections. Yet the uncertainty of message delivery added an element of risk to the operation. In this precarious setting, Yevdokia Zavely continued her relentless mission. Her presence on the field was a testament to resilience under pressure. She coordinated her efforts to ensure that the wounded were not left behind, working tirelessly to provide care amid the chaos. Her actions, as chronicled in several accounts, were instrumental in maintaining the morale of the advancing troops. As the Soviet forces commenced their maneuver through the ridges, a tactical surprise awaited them. The enemy, perhaps overconfident in their defenses, had left a gap in their line. This oversight, likely due to the difficulty of coordinating under such harsh conditions, presented an opportunity too significant to ignore. The decision to exploit this gap was fraught with peril. It demanded swift action and unwavering resolve. The choice lay heavy with potential consequences, embodying the precarious balance between triumph and disaster that defines war. The Soviet forces, having navigated the narrow, treacherous path through the ridges, were poised for an assault that would test their endurance and resolve. The terrain, while offering strategic advantage, also funneled their advance into a bottleneck, making coordination essential yet fraught with risk. Veteran accounts from this day describe the soldiers' determination, tempered by the fear of what lay ahead. The path, now clear under the frosty moonlight, required silence and precision. Any misstep could alert the enemy to their presence. The air was taut with anticipation as the troops moved in disciplined silence, their breath visible in the cold air. The tactical maps, updated through intermittent reports, suggested a potential for breakthrough. Yet, the uncertainty of enemy reinforcements loomed large. Archival footage, grainy and silent, depicts the tense preparation, capturing the stark contrast between the quiet before the storm and the impending chaos. Despite the challenges, morale remained buoyed by the presence of Yevdokia Zavely, who continued her tireless work among the ranks. After-action reports highlight her role in maintaining not just the physical well-being of the troops, but also their spirits. Her ability to adapt and improvise under pressure became a beacon of hope for those around her. As the assault commenced, a tactical surprise unfolded. The enemy, overconfident in their fortified positions, had failed to anticipate the stealth and speed of the Soviet advance. This oversight, recorded in unit diaries, allowed the troops to breach the defenses, carving a path through the lines that had seemed impenetrable just hours before. Yet, the success of this maneuver was not guaranteed. The terrain, with its hidden pitfalls and deceptive ridges, threatened to turn triumph into disaster at any moment. Communication lines, though bolstered by field engineers, remained a vulnerability, requiring constant vigilance to maintain operational cohesion. In this pivotal moment, the weight of individual decisions became palpable. Each choice carried the potential to alter the course of the battle, underscoring the human element that lies at the heart of warfare. As the Soviet forces pushed forward, the blend of strategic acumen and sheer willpower became evident in every step. The snow, once a harsh and unforgiving expanse, now bore the marks of a fierce contest. Trenches filled, paths carved, and the echoes of artillery fire faded into a haunting silence. The weak winter sun, which had struggled to break through the clouds, now illuminated the landscape with a subdued clarity, revealing the remnants of battle scattered across the once pristine snow. The Soviet forces, emboldened by their unexpected success, had managed to outflank the enemy, shifting the balance of the conflict. Yet, the cost of this victory was etched into the frozen ground and the memories of those who survived. Veteran accounts paint a picture of exhaustion and relief mingling with the grief for fallen comrades. The air, still biting cold, carried the solemn weight of sacrifice. Today's reconstruction, through a tapestry of after-action reports, unit diaries, and archival footage, sheds light on the remarkable bravery and strategic acumen that defined this moment. Yevdokia Zavely's relentless dedication emerged not just as a tale of personal heroism, but as a testament to the profound impact one individual can have amid the chaos of war. Her actions, though rooted in the immediacy of survival, have left an enduring legacy that continues to resonate. Yet, much remains shrouded in uncertainty. While records suggest Zavely's efforts were pivotal, the intricacies of communication and the exact sequence of decisions leading to the breakthrough are less clear. Some argue that luck played as much a role as strategy, with the unforeseen gap in enemy lines providing a fortuitous opportunity. The terrain, with its hidden dangers and shifting conditions, remains a silent witness to these uncertainties. Ethically, this narrative invites us to consider the cost of such achievements. Every victory in war carries with it a burden of loss and responsibility. The sacrifices made, the lives altered, and the memories seared into the consciousness of those who lived through this moment demand reflection. How do we honor such courage while acknowledging the profound toll it exacts? As we conclude this exploration, we invite you to ponder the enduring impact of individual choices within the broader sweep of history. Share your reflections on this narrative of sacrifice and resilience in the comments, and subscribe to join us in future journeys of careful, human-centered recon through the echoes of the past.